entire countries have fallen because of wealth and power and the strive for it. I made sure my kids never lacked because I didn't want them to suffer the same embarrassment. I always want to lift everyone up around me. So I'm always like, I don't want to just rise. I want everybody to rise with me. So what can we do together?
Welcome back to the Slayer Day podcast. Today's guest is the incredible Jessica Lynn Silva, attorney, coach, and master of reinvention. From single mom and military wife to award-winning estate planning attorney and speaker, Jessica has redefined success at every stage of life. Today, we're going to be talking about reinvention, protecting your power, and building a legacy that lasts. So, Jessica, welcome to the Slayer Day podcast.
Thank you, Sandi. It is such a pleasure to be here. I really love seeing you.
Well, I'm excited for the audience to meet you because you and I have been working together very closely for the past year.
Yes.
And you have so many beautiful things that you're working on. And I know that our conversation today can help so many women, no matter what stage that they're in, because of what you do, the work that you do, and how you show up. So we're going to dive into a little bit of the backstory, but also how you can support women today on what you're building and creating.
I would love that.
Okay, awesome. So I want to first talk about, give us like a little bit of the backstory. Like, you have reinvented yourself multiple times. I know your story personally, but I would love for you to share maybe just a little glimpse inside the reinvention, because there might be a woman that's listening to this right now and she's going through that reinvention stage in her life, maybe from going into work mode, into mom life, or maybe the opposite, right? And I feel like there's so many different times that we do have to reinvent our life. And it's really exciting because we get to do it on our terms. So I would love for you to share with the ladies how you've done that multiple times so far throughout your career and your life.
Absolutely. Okay. So I love that the Lord gets to use me as motivation for those that we grew up poor, grew up in nothing. I was a mom at 18. And being that there wasn't a lot of financial support and it was in a very religious community, there was a lot of different things. So I was an 18-year-old single mom that had no idea what she was going to do with her life, but knew she did not want to be a statistic. So that was the one thing I knew for sure. I took my little self to the recruiter's office, thought I was going to join the military. And then he said these words of, well, you need to have someone that can have custody of your child if you need to deploy or leave. Being 18 and no one to ask, I thought he was telling me to give up my child. And I'm like, are you kidding? I just went through complete embarrassment to keep him. I'm not giving him up. So I left, went to a college recruiter, took an entrance exam and said, I just want to sign up for anything. I think I'll be a receptionist. Can I just take the test? I took the test. She came back out. I will forever love this woman. Don't know her name. And she said, you have aced this exam. You need to aim higher. Have you ever thought of being a paralegal? And I said, what's that? Do they deal with handicapped people? She's like, no, they're the right hand to an attorney. And I think it would be a perfect fit. I got in, signed up. I started a 3-hour commute round trip, landed a job with the Brock and Scott. Back in the day, they were only 2 offices in North Carolina. They were in Winston-Salem, their headquarters in Raleigh, and I worked for the Raleigh office. Today, they cover all of the East Coast. And that is where I started my journey. It was exhausting. It was long, but it was profitable.
I was going to say, like, even just hearing you say, and I didn't know this before, a 3-hour commute.
It was, because
as a single mom, like, this is wild.
Well, the thing with being a single mom is you need a roof over your head and for your child, and you need someone to watch your child while you're working. So I paid my parents. They didn't want to speak to me for the first year, but they still let me rent a room in their house, and they still would help my son. And so that was kind of what the deal was. So the relationship wasn't the greatest at the moment, but they still did what they could. And I'm very thankful for that today, because it did allow me to do, yes. So I lived in Mount Olive, but I drove all the way to Raleigh. So it was an hour and a half each way. And then on the way home, I would stop in Smithfield and I would go to college till 10 or 11 at night and then go all the way back and then wake up and do it all again the next day. So that's what I did for years. Yep. For the.
You know, I'm going to give the listeners a little bit of context even into our conversations, because I think this gives such an insight into who you are. And, you know, Jess, again, we've been working together closely for over a year. And we've had this conversation, you and I, before, where we talk about like grit and resilience and just like hard work. And it's so funny because so many people, like I just did a podcast episode maybe a week or two ago, and someone was asking me the question about, like when I was in school, I was sharing the story about how I worked 3 jobs and I went to school full time and all these things. And it's like, they were like, how does somebody get that if they don't have it? And I'm like, to be honest, like you have it or you don't. And there's so many people that I think, sometimes being given the advantage actually works as a disadvantage because you've got to either have it or find it, or like it's just not going to show up. And so that's one thing that I really, really admire about you, because you have that. And I think because you had it at such a young age, like once you have it, I believe that you never lose it, and that's part of like the beauty of who you are and what you do, is like you still have that grit. You're still so hungry and hungry to help and hungry to serve. And I just want to tell you, that's like one of the things that I love about you, because man, you not only are you a hustler, but you have the heart to go with it.
Ladies, can I be real with you? I'm 38. I get Botox. I'm a busy mom, and I do not have time for a 10-step skincare routine. That's why I'm obsessed with Liviand. It's a simple 4-step skincare system that actually works. It starts with a purifying cleanser. It removes the day, the makeup, and the mom life chaos, leaving my skin clear and fresh. Then I go to the vitamin C brightening serum. Instant glow even when I've had 0 sleep. Next, I use the hyaluronic restoration cream, a total hydration boost that keeps my skin plump and smooth all day long. And finally, the firming cream. This one's the secret sauce. It visibly tightens, plumps, and renews your skin with the soursop leaf and fruit extracts, the dual peptides, and fruit stem cells. Basically, it helps me stretch those beauty appointments for months. Because as we know, moms deserve skincare that's simple, effective, and makes us feel amazing in our skin. Head to soursopnutrition.com and check out the Liviand Skin Care System. And don't forget, use code SANDY20 for 20% off your purchase. Liviand Skincare, aging on your terms.
I do. And I always want to lift everyone up around me. So I'm always like, I don't want to just rise. I want everybody to rise with me. So what can we do together? Collaborate, my family. And it's funny you said that, because growing up poor and working my butt off to do it, I made sure my kids never lacked, because I didn't want them to suffer the same embarrassment. And then I would turn around and get angry and frustrated. I'm like, where's the hustle? Where's the crazy? And so everything you just said is exactly, and they do, we've taught it, but I realized I had to tell back and stop being so generous and giving and making it too easy for them, that they needed to learn a little hustle themselves.
Yes, yes. Well, another thing I want to let the listeners know is, Jess, you have such, like I mentioned, such a big heart. And one of the things that, I share here many episodes is I talk about the academy, and like something that you just mentioned is like you want other women to rise together. And it's so rare that you find, like, this is why I say, like, it's so special when you find your tribe to like show up and like, and it's so, I think it's hard sometimes for people to kind of ask for the thing that they need help with or support with, or, just like want to be involved in. And I think that it's so funny because like when you don't have it, like for me, when I share, I didn't have this when I moved here and I had to find it and cultivate it and create it. One of the conversations I've had with many women, and it's funny because many women in a small amount of time have said the same thing, where they were looking for that supportive community that they could rise with, build with, fuel into each other. And so I want to even like just talk about that for a moment. Like, how has that been a part of your journey? Because again, like you started so young, you were like in the thick of it. You were really in survival mode from the beginning. And I would just love for you to even share how maybe that journey has transformed for you. Because I feel like you're in this beautiful, and we're going to get into this in a second, but you're in this beautiful state right now where I feel like you're really getting to like not just serve into others, but you are thriving and shining and like really stepping into your power.
I love that. No, first off, your High Performance Academy has been a blessing to me in so many ways and leveling up the life. Going back in time, at 18 years old, I was a senior in high school when all this happened. So everybody was prepping for college and 4 years of partying and fun. So my whole tribe disappeared in 2 seconds. I mean, the
Wow.
single
Yeah.
young mom that works their butt off is not exactly fun to have around. So that kind of went through a lonely period, and it was lonely and it was incredible, but at the same time it was very refining because it taught
Mhm.
me what exactly do I want to be known for, who am I, what are my character qualities, what kind of woman do I want to become. So you have to ask yourself all those choices without getting input from outside sources. So
Yeah.
that was really a blessing in disguise that I can see looking back. If you ask me if I was
Yes.
in it, I would have just been incredibly sad. But it works out wonderfully. But that never changes. That search for like-minded women, cheerleaders, testing us, pushing us, cheering us on, being able to have strategic conversations with. And it actually becomes even more vital as we age. And I've noticed that. Being married to military and growing up military, which is another story in itself, you would start to get some of those circles and then they would leave again. So you did always have to start to find a little source of independence. And then you came into my life as an answer to prayer specifically, where I told the Lord, I'm ready to level up. I really need some high quality circle in women. And you literally walked right into my life, and it's been amazing.
Wow.
You have 10x it.
Oh
I
my
tell
gosh,
you
I
that
got
all
chills.
the time, how much I love and adore you. Yes.
That's amazing. And you were ready for it. Like I think that a lot of times I'll get questions about like how do I find these circles? How do I
Mhm.
find these right women? And you have to be ready for it. I mean, you said, and I've done this myself, where you pray for like I've prayed for the relationships that I have in my life now, and I don't take them for granted, and I'm so grateful. And I think that like there is a very distinctive point in time where you're like, okay, I am ready for this next level, but I can't continue playing over here
Yes.
and wanting this over there. It's okay. Like for sure there are stages and seasons, right? Like, I say there's seasons all the time, like especially in the newborn stage when your babies are little and you're in the thick of it and you're doing all these things, like you might not have as much bandwidth, but I think that when you reach a point when you feel like you are ready, and there's always new levels. There's never like if you're always growing and learning and investing in whatever that next level can be for you, it's always available, but you have to be ready for it. And I think for you, and also in my own case, I was ready for it. You were ready for it. And then it's so funny. It's like they say, what's the saying when the student is ready, the teacher
Yes.
appears,
And it did.
right?
I listened to years of podcast nonstop in the car with names that I actually have in my phone now and hang out together. I listened to
Yeah.
those ladies for years and years and years. And it's funny you say that too, because my 23-year-old son, he's had a recent breakup and he wants to date. And he's like, Mom, I just want a relationship. I want a relationship. I'm like, but are you ready for it, sweetie? Like,
Right.
I feel that I know the relationship you want. And instead of
Yeah.
settling and then getting hurt every time the toxic blows up, why don't we just
Mhm.
spend 6 months to a year, work on ourselves, grow, become the
Yeah.
best version, and then you're ready for your soulmate and you guys will be crazy together. Awesome.
Yes.
So I think that's too the maturity level. And people don't realize that self awareness is also when you finally realize I'm in charge of my own life. No one's coming to rescue me. And if I don't like the way my life is, I have the capability to change it. And I think it's simple, but it takes years to actually come to that
Mhm.
realization. But once you do, it's
Yep.
incredibly powerful.
Yep, absolutely. And one of the things that we talk about so much inside the academy or with coaching or just like within the group of women, that are within our community, the high performance community, it's not just business. And I think a lot of times
Right.
people think, oh my gosh, like this is such a like, because we always talk systems and strategy, and that's yes, one pillar of it, but there's family that goes into that. There is your fitness and your faith and the friendships. So there's a lot that's covered. There's a vast majority that's covered. And it's really just what you feel the most aligned with and called to. And I think there's something there for everyone. But going back to like, you have to be ready for that because it does exist. I didn't think it existed. So for me, I was like, I'm going to create something because I want it. I think I wanted it so bad that I was like, I'm willing to go create it. And obviously it's blossomed into this beautiful, not just the High Performance Academy, but now with Call to Lead and all the collaborations and all these beautiful things. So it's beautiful what does happen when you commit.
Oh, I agree,
Yeah.
1,000%. And I have loved being along for the ride because I have grown
Yes.
tremendously from it too.
Well, I want to talk about, because this is so, so important. I know that the women are going to get so much value from this next topic that we're going to
Mhm.
cover. I want to talk about protecting your power, and specifically for women that are listening here, I would love for you to speak to how you specifically help women, not just how to build wealth, but to protect it. And maybe what are some of the most common mistakes that you see women making when it comes to legal or financial planning? I think that, if we're not aware and educated on these things, it can seem very, very heavy
Mhm.
and a lot to process. So I would love for you to just kind of break this down in very like simple terms for us, so we can
Yes.
understand like what are the things that I need to do to be protecting my power, and also like as these women, as we are all building our legacies, like how do we make sure that we're not making some of these common mistakes that you see? Can we just talk about how bedtime used to be for us? Oh my gosh, you guys, I was hanging off one side of the bed. My kids were laying sideways across the entire bed. And my husband, he was literally falling off the bed. Don't even get me started on the stiff necks. We were actually at the chiropractor more than we were sleeping. We just thought that we had to deal with it until we found Alaskan King bed. Now we can actually co-sleep without the kids kicking us all night long. Everyone has plenty of space, and my husband finally stays in the bed. And we all wake up feeling refreshed, like we actually slept the whole night, because we did. If you're a growing family like us, this bed is a total game changer. More space equals more snuggles, less stress, and so much more quality time. And that was the true reason why we fell in love with this bed. Trust me, you will never go back. So head on over to AlaskanKingBeds.com and use code Sandi for a discount. Wishing you and your family sweet dreams from my family to yours. Make sure you head over to AlaskanKingBeds.com.
Okay, I would love to. When you deal with the law, you're on one of my favorite topics. And I have made it a
He's
life
like, ooh,
goal.
here we go.
And I've made it a life goal to try to make it fun. So I'm actually known for being a VIP boutique law firm where our clients literally say, we avoided you for years and then had the best time. We don't know why we waited so long. And we do that intentionally. My offices are set up intentionally with snacks and coffee and drinks and couches that lounge
You're
and
going to want to go like
TV with
hang
all the
out, make
channels.
content,
Oh, they
stay
do.
there, have lunch.
Oh, they do. I give them all the U.S. Weekly magazines. I actually have Just Cristobal, her leading ladies magazine,
Yes.
are right there for everyone to enjoy. I had a client, I was running late once and went in to get her and to apologize. And she was all laid up on the couch. Her feet were up and everything. And I was like, I just want to let you know we're about 15 minutes behind. She's like, oh, sweetie, I'm so comfortable. Take your time. So I love that. That's what we pride ourselves on. And I do that because in law, I've been in law around 25 years in one arena or another. As a paralegal, as an attorney, as a judge's JA, I've seen it all. I've done civil, criminal, family, personal injury, which is like the car accident cases,
Mm-hmm.
and then my estate planning and probate. I'm also a certified Supreme Court mediator. So I
She does
get
it
to
all.
see people fight. And the sad part is when you see what it does, the damage to relationships and families, because
Mhm.
let's be real, wealth and power are always, I mean, entire countries have fallen because of wealth and
Yes,
power and the strive for it. So
that's
it
right.
exists, but it doesn't have to be scary. And it can very easily have legal enforceable documents put in place that protect you. So I love to be very transparent. I love to have conversations. I like to take all the legalese and bring it down to a third or fifth grade level so you don't feel like I'm talking
Mhm.
down to you. I'm just teaching you. And then I'll do a
Yes,
lot
which
of
is great.
speaking engagements so that you can learn for free. So you use not even anything out of your pocket but time.
Yep.
So, all that to say, as soon as someone becomes 18, they need to have an estate plan. And your estate plan can be as basic as your durable power of attorney, which deals with all your financials, your healthcare surrogate, which is your medical. It says who's allowed to talk to doctors, who's allowed to
Mhm.
authorize surgery, see your records. And then a living will, kind of like the Terry Schiavo, that case became a benchmark that helps all of us realize the importance, because her husband wanted to pull the plug, her mom did not, and it was an over 13-year court battle to decide who had
Oof.
the authority to decide which, because she was missing one document. If she'd had it, it would have
Wow.
been easy peasy. We're just doing exactly what she said her wishes are, and this is not up for debate. But because they didn't have
Wow.
it and they didn't have the conversation, everyone had their own interpretation of what she would have wanted. And that
Wow.
was awful and expensive and crazy and chaotic. But it is a story that as soon as you mention her name, everyone's like, oh my gosh, yes. Funny
Mm-hmm.
enough, a lot
Yeah.
of my clients come because they go through a really bad circumstance in their family or friends, and they're like, we needed to come
Mhm.
see you because we just went through a mess and we don't want that to happen to
Oof.
our family.
So don't wait. Don't wait until that
No,
happens.
no, I like to tell people, don't leave a mess, call Jess. Like, really.
Yes.
Um, it is very you as soon as you turn 18, parents don't automatically have the voice for their children anymore. So the courts and all the world needs to know who your wishes are. Who's your favorite people? Who do you want to speak for you if you go skiing in Colorado, you slip and you're in a coma and you were supposed to buy or sell your crypto or your house, or you had a big deal going on? Are you running a business, and who's going to do payroll if there's nothing going on? If you don't have those documents, like a power of attorneys, everything will freeze and they have no choice but to wait for you to pass away or revive. So that's lots of circumstances that I've seen that could have so simply been fine. Another one is my families with minor children. That one is really
Hmm.
crucial, because look at it as, this is my chance to say my voice. And if anything
Yeah.
happens to me, this is exactly the checklist of who's allowed to touch my affairs and raise my children and be involved in their
Wow.
lives. And all of us want that. We love our babies. So we all want to have it. And you, being the queen of system and strategies, you would totally get behind this, of just have your simple documents that are in order, because you're protecting your legacy and you're protecting your voice, so that when you're not able to utilize it, it's there.
Okay, Jess. So I want to break this down and make it so simple for the ladies listening. Maybe they've never heard of wills and probate and estate planning. Like, let's just break it down. I want you to talk to me like you would explain this to Jake and Jordy, like literally at a foundational level. What and how is a will protecting me? What is it and why does it protect me?
Okay. So, one thing I want people to realize is a will does not avoid probate, it actually guarantees
Wait,
it.
but tell me what probate is.
Probate was created for the benefit of creditors. So it is their chance to attach to your assets why whatever's left over goes to your loved ones. So what would go
Okay.
to Jake and Jordy, but it's everybody else coming to get their share before they get it. So we
Right.
want to avoid that. Um, if I was telling this to Jake and Jordy, I'd say if we have a will, that means we have to go to court and see the judge. If we have a trust, you two can go in your playroom and you guys can keep building your blocks, and you don't have to get anyone's permission. You can make your own choices, build it as high as you want, and not even a
Yep.
judge gets to tell you no. So that's why they're beautiful. A will and probate are like peanut butter and jelly. So all you're doing is guaranteeing the one thing you want to avoid. They are still important because they deal with the guardianship of your children. So we want to
Mm-hmm.
include that paragraph, but that doesn't mean we have to go to probate court for it. And they also can say you own a car and it's paid off. You could just take the will to the DMV and they'll transfer title to the car without going through probate, which in some circumstances, that's the only asset left. And so that's huge. That saves them thousands of dollars. So they
Okay.
have their purpose, but you still don't want it to be the only thing that you're counting on, because you're going to be going through a court process that you actually want to avoid.
Yes.
I like to say you keep them as that thing that's there for the winning lotto ticket, for the negligent doctor, for the Virgin cruise ship where it goes down.
Mm.
There's a bunch of money coming through the estate. Your death is causing a ton of money, and we need the will to know who you want that to go to. That's when they become vital. That's when they need me and the probate process, but everybody's still happy because you've got six figures, millions of dollars coming through you otherwise didn't own. Anything you own today, you want to name beneficiaries or you want to have a trust. And that way you can avoid that whole other process.
Okay, perfect. So that being said, again, my hope is that all the women that are listening to this right now, they either know that they already have these in place, or they're
Mhm.
listening today and this is like the sign. This is their sign that they're like, I have to get this. I'm protecting myself, my family, our assets. Like, this is the sign, ladies. If you're listening to this today, this is your sign to get yourself protected and get these things in place. So I want to make it super, super simple for them to be able to do this. Because again, maybe they're hearing this for the first time. Maybe they, they're hearing our conversation and they might have one of these in place or none of them in place. So
Mhm.
what can they do? 3 steps that they can take right now today to make sure that they're taking the right steps to be protected.
That's a great question. Get organized, know what you own and who you love. And by that, I mean who you want it to go to.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's friends, family, charities, if it's friends or charities, they're nowhere on the radar. If it's long
Yeah.
term girlfriends, boyfriends, they're nowhere on the radar. So unless you leave a document saying that's who you wish, it's not ever going to happen under the intestate
Mm-hmm.
law. After that, decide who you trust. Because in those power of attorneys, who is it that you trust with your assets, your health, your children, and everything that you own? So that
Mm-hmm.
would be 2 key things I want you to do right away. The third, reach out to me. Call me, follow me, study up on some of my podcasts, the information I hold out there, find where I'm speaking next and come to a complimentary or part of your group, I am happy to offer complimentary consultation. So if you reach out to my office, just tell me you are part of Sandi's group, and my girls will get you on my calendar at no cost at all.
That's right. And then, so I want you to talk about for a minute estate planning, because I think that we think estate planning is for the ultra mega wealthy
Mm-mm.
or older generations. So
Mm-hmm.
I'd love for you to even talk about what that would look like. Like, if someone's coming to you today
Mm-hmm.
and maybe they're in their 30s, they have 1 or 2 kids, and they're thinking, okay, maybe I haven't amassed this extreme wealth in my life yet, but they have a family and they want to come to talk about estate planning. What does that conversation look like?
So first, when anyone calls our office, we immediately see if it's something we can help. The girls will place them on our schedule, and then they'll immediately email them our intake form and a helpful estate planning basics to kind of just give them a
Mm-hmm.
breakdown of the docs. That intake form they'll fill out, and it's very detailed, and that'll kind of cover a lot of
So
those.
what are we covering? What is the intake form covering
It
other
is
than the basic
covering your
info?
marital status. Did you have marriages previous to that? Do we have blended issues to deal with? Do we have kids from previous relationships and that we need to account for it? And if so, do we just love new spouse and new spouse gets everything, or we're going to be splitting with children from previous because we don't want new spouse to get everything and then cut our kids out from previous relationships? So all of those different type scenarios.
Okay.
Are our assets real estate? Is it real estate in Florida? Is it crypto? Is it Bitcoin? Is it, where is
Mm-hmm.
it? Where do we have all our safeguards in place for those? Our seed phrases, our keys. Does anyone know? Do you have a bank, a safe deposit box? Because everyone thinks having a safe deposit box at the bank is such a great idea. But if you didn't name a key holder, you can't get to it
Cool.
without court order. You can't get to court without expense and without attorney. So you just like shot
Yeah.
yourself in the foot when you could have easily done it a different way. Um, so the whole probate process probate was created for creditors. It wasn't created for us because they love us. It was the creditors' last ditch effort to get to your assets while they're on their way. And that is why you hear it's expensive, it's crazy. The attorneys took it all, the court took it all, the creditors, and I got left with nothing. Because
Okay, so ladies, if you're listening to this right now, Jess just told us this is not set up for you and me. Like, this
no,
is set
not at
up
all.
for these
Creditors. It was
other exactly agencies, so they are getting your assets if you are not protecting yourself and being proactive about getting these things in
exactly.
place.
But on the flip side,
Wow.
if you see me and you get your proper documents and it avoids the probate process, then you can die with 50 grand in credit card debt, 100 grand in medical bills, and be like, so sorry, sayonara, I'm going in my new. because you avoided. So they get to attach, but they get to do it through the process. And if you get to avoid the process, you don't, you get to keep the assets without them. So that is why
Interesting.
it's a very intricate thing, that it's kind of like if you talk to a CPA that understands the IRS, we're all terrified of the
Mhm.
IRS and the tax law,
Right.
but the tax law was literally created for us to do it. And this, a few 1%ers go out there, learn it, study it, and do everything
Right.
it says and pay none. And they do it
Right. And
legally.
then you find all the ways to get the loopholes and
Exactly.
learn how to play the game.
So that's what I do, is I
Yes.
literally legally do, I know the loopholes, I know the statutes and the law. I have a conversation with you to know your personal situation, your circumstances, who we love, who we don't, what we consist of, where we want it to go. And then I do all those same things. Florida doesn't have an inheritance tax. So we just fall under, so you don't have to pay to die. Connecticut, you do. So when I'm doing ancillaries of Florida real property, and they died and lived in Connecticut, I've seen them pay 50 to
Mm.
$100,000 for dying. Yeah, Florida's nice. We don't do that. But we do have,
Wow.
if you're at the federal, if your assets are over 13.99 million, then there's a hefty 40% tax on top of that. So
Whoa.
hitting the millions is kind of almost your new, a little above average in a way. So
Yeah.
and it is, so those are numbers that, and me personally, I worked for a lottery winner attorney. So our clients
Mm.
went from average Joe to multi-millions, billions. So they were
Yeah, overnight.
far. So they went from an average normal day of a 6-figure income to all of a sudden they were way over the tax bracket and having to do all these different procedures to protect. So that's kind
Wow.
of why it's a fun world. It's an exciting world, and it's a world that's not that scary to navigate if you talk to the right person. So that's kind
Right.
of what I do. So that's why I make it
Right.
fun and relatable and give you some words of wisdom that save you lots of money and chaos.
So, okay. So that being said, what is like a simple step or the first step that women can take right now to start protecting their assets? Other than obviously step number 1 is reaching out to you. But what do they like what is something maybe for them to like get in order or to really like take that first step in protecting assets and their family? Like this is like your family's future. So what can we do today to start that?
You need to have power of attorneys, because you need to say if you're incapacitated for a short bit of time, who can step right in and help take care of affairs for you. So that's a durable power
Mhm.
of attorney and a healthcare surrogate. Then you also need to have the living will preneed guardian. That's for the extreme circumstances. Either they're asking to
Yeah.
pull the plug, what are your wishes? Or the preneed
Wow.
guardian is you're breathing, but you're not really all there and you're only going to decline
Mhm.
until you pass. People always think that's just the old that get dementia, Alzheimer's, but I've personally seen brain injury, surfing accidents, different circumstance
Mm.
that take a healthy, wealthy 30-year-old and turn him into a vegetable. And nobody had a durable power of attorney. So he needs, it cost a fortune to give him the medical
Wow.
care he needs, and it's going to bankrupt the wife because she has no power of attorney to bleed his assets to make him qualify. So those are the type things that could have easily been prepared for, and
Yeah.
they don't think about it. If you have
Right.
minor children, it's really important to have a preemie guardian for minors, because that is the crucial document that if something, God forbid, happened and you're in a car accident, who can the
Mhm.
police immediately let your babies go to? Is that the neighbor? Is that a
Wow.
friend down the street? Is that, if they don't have that, they're going to take them, maybe at foster, end up in guardianship
Oh
court,
my
everybody
gosh.
fighting over who should take them and why, and a judge gets to
Right.
pick. Um, if you have your form, it's easy peasy. We'll go to the first name on the list. They'll say yes or no. And if they decline, we go to the next name on the list and say you're nominated
Yeah.
next. Would you do it? You don't have to tell
Okay,
people,
so
you
what's the
need to
name of that
nominate
form?
them. That's a preneed guardian for minors.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and that one is super helpful because anyone under 18 is considered a minor. So that
Yep.
is until you reach the age of 18, you're not allowed to enter contracts, you're not allowed to make decisions. You need to have always
Right.
an adult oversight taking care of you. And that is where you
Yep.
choose who those adult names are to be. Now, some go into a trust, because a trust is like your chance to kind of
Yep.
control from the grave. We're ladies, we're all the masters of our home. And so we know what it's like to, we got everything in order and we know when we want it. And my child's not ready for it at 18. They don't need all the wealth
Yes.
until 25.
Oh
That is
gosh.
your
Even
chance.
25 is
I know,
yeah.
right? That's your opportunity to put all the perimeters in place. This is where I want
Right.
it to go. These are the ages they can start having it. Here's to be the gatekeeper of
Mhm.
this. I can be
Yep.
super strict. I can make them wait. I can let them have it for special allowances like college or
Right.
buying a down payment. All of those things are very, very, very crucial and easy to implement if you're alive and have full capacity. They are
Yeah.
very chaotic, expensive, and crazy, and we're doing damage control if you miss the window. So that's kind of why
Yeah.
it's just so important to have a conversation.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Wow. And again, like we don't think about these things ever happening, but it's better to be set up and be safe and have it no matter what.
Yeah. It's not
Yeah.
even just about you or the money. You're literally doing this for peace of mind and clarity for all of your loved ones.
Right.
So, and
Right.
you're vetting who you want in your children's lives and kind of watching out for them. So, that's kind of when you take it off of yourself and realize you're actually doing a service that's showing love
Yeah.
to your family, then it's easy. Then it's literally just like clean the kitchen, organize my closet, have the grocery list done, make sure my estate plan's in order. Like it's not that hard to think about at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good. Well, you talk a lot about building a business and a life that outlives you. And I want
Mhm.
to ask you, what is legacy? What does that mean to you personally?
Legacy to me means impact. So the way you make someone feel when you interact with them, the way that person where you have a conversation and they're like, oh my gosh, this is what I'm struggling with, or this is who I'm trying to meet. I'm like, oh my God, I have the perfect connection for you. Let me shoot a text and introduce you to. Like where you make something that is impossibly hard to the human going through it, and all of a sudden you simplified it in 2 seconds. I just think, and then the domino effect that that does, the peace, the prosperity, you don't know who they're going to turn around and then touch. And then for all you know, you impact the next president, the next congressman, the next person that changes laws. You have no idea how your one act of kindness turns around. And that's where the legacy piece comes in because then it far surpasses myself or you. It goes generation to
Mhm.
generation and impacts the whole world in a small level. So I'm really big into that. I'm very big into acts of kindness, showing Christ's love, but also doing it in tangible ways like, do you need a Starbucks? Do you need a weekend away? Do you need a cruise because your
Yeah.
marriage is failing? Like, what can I do to improve your life? And that's how I want to be remembered. And those
Mhm.
type things. So it's impact. It's how you're impacting
Yep.
yourself, leveling up others, those around you. Those type things is what legacy means to me.
Yep. So, okay, so let me ask you this. Women that are maybe in the middle of building their careers, right? They're building their careers, they're raising their families. How can they start creating legacy of impact while they're in the middle of this busy season? Because as we all know, there's a lot of moving pieces and a lot going on. So what would you say, like what would be your advice to these women where they can start creating legacy of impact now in these busy seasons?
I think every little piece you do has an impact and domino effect because sometimes we think we're going for the big scary goal. And we think if we're not doing reverse engineering and impacting and doing this huge big thing every day, that it's got no effort. I'm more of a believer in divine direction, that every little step, when I was 18 and terrified and just went to the recruiters and then the college campus, and I was like, all I have is a knowledge and a gut instinct that I need to be more than where I am today. I have no idea what to do. Like, so can you please just help me open that first door? And then the first door opened to the next door. The law with the firm with Brock and Scott came from I was temping at an agency why I started the college process, and the receptionist there loved me. We were having conversations and she's like, "Oh, my daughter works for one of the biggest law firms, this newer one." She's like, "Let me connect you to." I was
There you go.
working an hour and a half away in Mount
Wow.
Olive in Goldsboro, and her daughter was an hour and a half. So she connected us, and from there I was hired. They hired
Yeah.
me, brought me in, and from then they saw my phone skills and things like that, and they promoted me without me even asking. And then I had my own office, and then I had my own case
Because you're
list.
a hustler. That's why.
But all of it was just following my intuition and prayer and steps. There was no like, now I'm much more intentional. Like, and
Yeah.
I love, love, love investing in coaches. So a lot
Hmm.
of people love having counseling, things like that. And I think everything has its place. I was actually
Right.
going to be a psychologist. I have a master's in counseling. So that was the first. And then John Maxwell really spoke to me where he's like, yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to be a counselor. And then I'd give people advice. They come back 2 weeks later, complain about all the same thing. And I realized some people don't want to change. He said, so I flipped the script and I start coaching businesses instead. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I think I'm going to go to law instead, no psychology. So I had flipped the script there, but I still have such a heart for people. But I love those that want to help themselves. If you're wanting to help yourself, I'm going to come along beside you and help you 10x any which way I can. So for me, I feel like some counseling can get stuck in a rut, where with coaching, I feel like it was a fast, accelerated way to get straight to the source, straight to the crux. What's the issue? Where do we need to work on? What mentally is blocking us? And that's in our way of success. And we clear it out. And then we create a tangible plan of action, implement, and move forward. So for me, that's what was huge. And you're a huge piece of that in my life. So that's kind of, but all that to say, I think I might have diverted from your question. So
Well, I
the
actually
blonde romance.
it makes me think of another question. Okay, so we're talking about protecting your power, we're talking about legacy and leadership, and I would love, because I think this is going to be so powerful for the women that are listening right now, because again, I think that this can be very daunting. I think even talking about wills and just like the legal formalities of what comes with all of this, I think can be daunting. I think it can be overwhelming. So what is something right now for a woman listening that you can provide, let's say 3 either tips or steps that she can do right now to start protecting herself and her family? Because I think for me, like you know how I like to coach and teach, I like to simplify, right? So I think that that is the easiest way to get people in action and in motion, because when we can understand it, we can take the steps that we need to protect ourselves. So what are 3 tips or next steps that women listening right now can do and can take to start protecting their power and their legacy?
Gather up your assets. So literally make a list, make an audit list, your bank accounts, your logins, your homes. Where do you own them? How are they titled? You would be shocked at how many people come to my consult and tell me, here's how I own my house. And I look it up. I'm like, that's not how you own your house. And your spouse is not even on title with your house. So
Wow.
there's the simplest thing that people think, because what it is, and I've learned, is everyone has this kick the can down the road mentality. Like, I don't want to think about it. If I think about it, it might come true. So I just not going to
Right.
think about it. And then the government loves us so much, I'm sure it will work out.
Oh,
Okay.
sure.
Spoiler
Sure.
alert, it doesn't. And nothing that's just left to chance works its way out beautifully. And the government, they have their purpose and they're great. I was married to a military veteran, 26 years. My son serves, my daughter-in-law serves. I'm all about that very
Thank you
much.
for your service, you and your
Thank you.
family.
Thank you. But I do know you would be floored and never have that blind faith and trust again if you knew exactly a lot of what goes on. And I feel like it's just common sense. Like, in part of taking care of our bodies, having a devotion, doing a workout, feeding ourselves, nurturing, you need to be aware of your assets, how they're protected, and where they're going.
Yes.
And it's not as hard as you think. And with
So
your
number so
audience,
gather up your assets.
gather up your assets and list and take a look at those titles so that you
Okay.
know, to make sure you even have ownership in something you think you have ownership in. And then for some of my
Okay.
ladies that they fall in love, like their first marriage might have been for money and the next is for love, or vice versa. There's prenups, there's postnups, there's making sure if you owned, I have a client that owned 11 homes. She owned 6 of them before she was married. She did not want those becoming co-marital property. So we needed to do some specific things to protect her 6. And then she was okay with the other 5 being joint, but not the 6. So that's again, you want to just kind of have an awareness and a conversation,
Mhm.
because there's not everyone is going to have your best interest or give you a full-on in-depth combo.
Yeah.
I have a client that called us crying because she called us after the fact. She went to go get a refi and she wanted a home equity line. She owned her house herself, debt free. She has a boyfriend. They told her, they're like, oh, well, you can qualify for more, but we need you to add him to title. And then this, She literally gave him half her house in 5 minutes because the lender told her to. And then they wanted to break up, and she didn't realize he can't, he literally, you have to ask his permission now to give back half the house because you willingly gave him half your house. She was sobbing. And she's like, why
Oh,
didn't the
poor
lender
thing.
tell me? Why did they tell me? And I'm like, their best interest was to get a loan from you. They were not going to
Right.
tell you how you did that. You're not married. So adding him to title accelerated a tax appraiser. So your taxes are going to go up. It counts as a gift. So now the lifetime gift tax amount for capital gains, like they're not going to sit there
Ooh,
and go with you that what you just set in motion with the
right.
one act you did. And it
Right.
was
They're
pure
trying to
against
get their ball
yes.
down the field to make this thing happen for them. They're not having the conversation with you about how to protect yourself or what this even means
Yeah.
on the flip side.
So yeah, so going back to
Wow.
just three
Oof.
takeaways, gather up a list of your assets and what they are. Think on the fact that if for some reason, who's my best friend, who's someone I trust, that they're financially savvy and they would love on my kids and they have the same mindsets on growth and investments and trips to Disney World and religious preferences and school preferences, those type things. Who is it that you would want short term or long term if something happened to you to help you out? And
Mm-hmm.
then just kind of also asking yourself, where do I want to be financially and where am I
Yeah.
at on that level? And is it properly protected? And what's it going to take to get there? So if
Good.
you do those things too, you're already going to like be on everything. But it's having conversation. And there's a lot of attorneys that will offer free just talking to you or doing community involvement. So even finding some of those, just Googling and going and learning and starting to pick up the knowledge. Just don't trust ChatGPT. I love
Yeah.
AI, but I will tell you from
But maybe not
experience,
for legal advice.
AI is outdated with their law, so their numbers are always a few years off. And their statutes,
Mm-hmm.
some of them don't even exist that they quote. So
Wow.
it's great for
Wow.
like fun curiosity and then take it to your attorney or something to kind of offset it, but do not blindly
Right.
trust it. And
Oh
yes,
my gosh.
those type things. But no, and that's where I'm saying if you have an attorney friend and estate planning and probate attorney, just have a conversation with them. Just ask them.
Yeah.
That would be one of your number one things to do too. And
Yep. Or reach out to Jess and she can help you. She'll help
yes,
you get all of this in order. This is,
yeah.
and ladies, this is why I have her on here today. I think that a lot of times these things might seem so far out of our reach or over our head, or we might not understand it completely. This is why the absolute best thing to do is to align yourself with other people who do know what this looks like, who can be an asset to you, and to align yourself with people who can answer the questions if you don't know. So if you're listening to this right now and you're like, okay, she's saying these things. Do I have this? I don't know if I have this. What does this look like? Reach out to Jess. She's here to be an asset to you. She's here to be a resource for you. And especially like if you are a mom and you have kids and you have people who depend on you, please,
Mm-hmm.
please reach out to her and have this conversation. Because as we all know, when we have kids, it is no longer just about us anymore. And all the money and all the things in the world, like none of that matters if your kids aren't protected and taken care of. So at least reach out and have the conversation with her to see what this looks like and to get the right proper steps and documentation in place. And we'll talk about where they can reach you in a minute, Jess. But before we get into that, I just want to wrap up very quickly with an exciting announcement. You have a book launch coming up and a couple other exciting things that I would love for you to share with our listeners.
Oh, thanks. Okay, so yes, one of the key things you've encouraged me to launch a YouTube channel and podcast. So that will officially be out for the world in 2 weeks. And it is called
Woo!
Wealth and Wills with Attorney Jessica Lynn Silva. And it'll be pretty much on wealth, wills, and winning. So how you build your wealth, protect your wealth, and just keep winning in all areas of life. I had to add that part because I love law, but some people can get bored. And I also model and do little things on the side. So I kept it open where we can
She's
add
very
life.
dynamic.
Yes, so we can add some life experiences. The book, I am finalizing it this week and it's off to the publisher. So that will be launching. And I have an official book launch party for November 22nd in Tampa for anyone that would love to attend. I'd be happy to give you a free coffee and you can meet some great people, and anything that you want to do, feel free to reach out. I love community and collaboration, so I am always open. Text is always the best way to get me, text or emails or DMs. But yes.
I'm like, hold on, we'll drop your info in the description. And if you want, you can reach out to Jess on Instagram. Also, Jess, do you want to share your Instagram as well?
It's at Jess.
Your website and your Instagram.
Sure. The website is www.jessicalynnlaw.com. So jessicalynnlaw.com. And the Instagram is the @jess.lynn.silva.
And then I just want to ask you before you go, because a lot of questions that I get about my book are like, why did you write the book? And I know the reason why I wanted to provide my book and put that out, as a resource into the world. But I would love for you to share, what is your hope? Like, what is your hope for every reader who gets your book or listens to your podcast? Like, what do you want them to walk away with?
I am hoping to shave 30 to 35 years off of their life and their learning growth period. Because I just turned 47. And it took me so many years and so many wrong turns, right turns, successful turns, losing, winning, all the things. And so this book is really back for my 18-year-old self and any woman that just needed a cheerleader and realized they need to bet on themselves. They have the same unique, wonderful capability to achieve anything they want in the world. And to sprinkle in a little life story, some business tips, some encouragement, some motivation, and all of the different things. So that's what it's to serve as, is to be just a nice encourager and reminder and blueprint for anyone that knows they're meant for more and they just don't know what to do for the next step.
I love that. Well, I cannot wait for all these ladies to get their hands on your book and listen into your podcast. So Wealth, Wills, and Winning is Jess's podcast. You can check that out. We will link all of the information to connect with Jess down in the description below. So you can click there, you can check it out. And anything else you want to share with the listeners before we go?
Just before you go chasing new goals, make sure your foundation is protected. So legally, financially, emotionally, all of the things. So I always just highly suggest, don't leave a mess, call Jess.
There you go. All right, guys. Well, until next time, make sure you go out and slay your day.